A Bucking Spurs podcast is brought to you by Eavesdrop Studios Podcast Network at eavesdropstudios.com, where eavesdropping is okay as long as you tell everybody what you heard. So the NBA released their 2018-19 NBA playoff prediction, and I thought this would just be a good time to highlight how batshit crazy these guys can really be sometimes. I mean, I don't know who is doing this stuff over there. I'm like, do you remember a few years ago when they put like Kobe like at 20th, like the 20th best player in the league? And yeah, like he was coming off an injury, but it doesn't matter. No one in the league is better. They had some ridiculous names in front of Kobe. But anyways, this is just ridiculous. This is just like the worst thing I've ever seen. If you tuned into my last episode, you heard my playoff prediction, and we're gonna get into a little bit about that as well. We're gonna bring that in a little bit as we go through this ranking. But Jesus Christ, ESPN, get your shit together. But first, Siren Nova, drop that beat. Okay, so let's just get like right into it. Off the top, we're gonna focus on the Western Conference in this episode. We're not gonna really get into the East because we're Go Spurs Go, and the West Coast is where it's at. Okay, so number one, they have the Warriors. Okay, whoop-de-doo. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out. But right after that, let's start getting crazy. What do you say, ESPN? Let's start shooting shit. Let's start making people talk. I wonder if ESPN puts these rankings together just to piss off everybody and just to get everybody talking about how crazy, you know, like they were all in a room and they were like, okay, let's put the Warriors number one. Okay, now let's start fucking with everybody. Let's start like, let's give these people something to talk about, right? I mean, like that must have been the song that they were playing in that war room the whole time, whoever was putting this list together. And here it says via NBA insider Kevin Pelton. I don't know if he's the one who just leaked this ranking or if he's the one who actually put this ranking together. But ESPN, you have like some of the best insiders in the game. You got Brian Windhorst, you got Ramona, you know Wojbomb, Shams. I mean, you got all these people who are like they like know things about the NBA. They don't just kind of like talk about it like I do. These guys actually know stuff. Like they know way more stuff than they ever let out. They're real insiders. But God dang, ESPN, what the hell's the matter with you? Okay, so number one, we got the Warriors. Right off the bat, let's start popping some of these fireworks, huh? Okay, we got the Utah Jazz in at the number 2 spot. Wow, ESPN. Wow. And I love the Utah Jazz. I love Donovan Mitchell. I love their coach. Guys, their coach is an ex-Spurs coach. He comes from the tree. And so I have all the faith in Utah being a good team next year. On my ranking, I had them coming in at 5th, in the 5th spot. I think that's more realistic. What did they add? A lot of big pieces this summer? In this offseason? I don't think so. Did they attract a superstar or make any big changes that would actually make them move up from where they were last year? If anything, Donovan Mitchell is coming into his second year. Now he's not an unknown commodity, and other teams are going to be kind of, working on taking him out of games. And what are they left with? Ricky Rubio and Gobert? Ingles? I love all those players, but come on. There's just no way that they're going to win more games than the rest of the Western Conference. Oh, my goodness. Let's keep going. They have the Rockets in at number 3. Now, I have a big feeling that ESPN just doesn't like Carmelo Anthony. I mean, I think that's just it. They hate Carmelo. They love to dog on Carmelo Anthony. So this is them saying, the Rockets, you messed up. You messed up. You know, we're going to go ahead and move y'all down from the number 1 seed that you were last year down to the number 3 seed. Because you guys got so much worse with the addition of Carmelo Anthony. Come on. Do you remember last year they were talking about how bad Chris Paul and James Harden were going to play together? That kind of worked out for him, I would think. I mean, number 1 seed. They were up 3-2 against the Warriors in the playoffs. Oh, Jesus. I had the Rockets at the number 2 spot. I did see them falling off a little bit, but not dramatically like to the 3rd seed. Okay, here we go. Let's keep getting crazy here. All right, so then they have the Nuggets at number 4. The Nuggets. It took some big nuggets. Whoever was like, you know what, guys, I really think, Denver has what it takes, to get into the playoffs this year. That took some nuggets, Jesus. I have the Nuggets making the playoffs as well. I think that they are a team that's been on the cusp, but I do not think that they are the number 4 seed in the Western Conference. In my playoff prediction, I had them coming in at 7th. Okay. Then at the 5th spot, they have the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves, who have their 2 superstar players bickering at each other, saying that they're unhappy with this, they can't play together, and this and that. Oh my goodness, this is just ridiculous. The Timberwolves are either going to make the 8th seed, maybe the 7th seed, or they're going to fall off. If Jimmy Butler and Karl Anthony Towns cannot figure out a way to coexist, how the hell are they going to make the 5th seed in the playoffs? Even if they do coexist. They lost Jamal Crawford. They didn't pick up any free agents this year. I mean, unless Andrew Wiggins is just going to, come out of nowhere and be that guy to help those two. Come on, man. Jeez. All right, and then let's just keep going. The number 6 spot is going to the OKC Thunder. Now, the OKC Thunder finished in 4th last year. Okay, so they have them slipping a little bit. So I don't get it. They have the Thunder slipping. Why? Why would they slip? If anything, you put the Rockets slipping because they added Carmelo. So the Thunder lost Carmelo. And you're saying they still got worse? I mean, pick a side, ESPN. Either you're on the Carmelo wagon or you're not. I mean, either the Thunder are going to get better by losing Carmelo, or the Rockets are going to get better by adding Carmelo. It's got to be one or the other. You can't play both sides. You're not a double agent here, okay? Anyways, that's ridiculous. I had the Thunder coming in the 3rd spot in the West. I do think the absence of Carmelo and the insertion of some role players at certain positions are going to really benefit that group. It seems like most of the camaraderie was between Russell Westbrook and Paul George anyways. So they stayed. Paul George committed. It looks like they're gonna be in it for the long haul. They're not gonna have this cloud over them all season the way they did last year with the uncertainty of Paul George signing there or not. Okay, so let's just keep going. The number 7 spot, they have the Pelicans. The Pelicans, y'all. The Pelicans. Were the Pelicans anything before Rajon Rondo got there? No, they hadn't made the playoffs in about 4 years. Now, I'm not saying that Rondo was the only reason, but they would not have swept Portland in the playoffs if Rondo was not there. They wouldn't have done that. Okay, Rondo gave them a good look, a tough veteran leadership, aspect to their team that they didn't have before. That let Drew Holiday play off the ball, and he really flourished in that role. They had Boogie Cousins with them for the majority of the season, and I know they kind of took off once he got hurt. They slid Anthony Davis to the 5, and then everything kind of started flowing. But they really got into the playoffs last year like in the last 30 games of the year. Like they snuck in. And in my playoff prediction, I don't have them making the playoffs. You know why? Because they're Anthony Davis or bust. Now, can Anthony Davis lead them to the playoffs? Sure he can. Of course he can. But I have a big problem with putting the shoulder, putting all the weight of the team on your best player's shoulders that is a big man. Because he's not going to have the ball in his hands all the time. Now, yes, they'll look to get him the ball, but if or let's say Anthony Davis gets injured, Anthony Davis goes down for about 20 games. You think the Pelicans are good enough without Anthony Davis to win enough games during that stretch? Hell no. There's just no way. I can see the Pelicans sneaking into the 7th spot. Okay. In my playoff predictions, I have them in the 10th spot. Now, of course, we all know the Western Conference. It's the wild, wild West. And, pretty much the 5th, 6th spot down to the 10th spot are all separated just by a few games. So can the Pelicans make the playoffs? Yeah, sure. But everything kind of has to go right for them. They're that team where all everything has to line up. It has to be a perfect storm of good circumstances for them to make the playoffs. Now, that's just a lot for, I think, the Pelicans to live up to. Anyways, I'm talking way too much about the Pelicans. Let's just keep going. The number 8 spot, the Trailblazers. Finally, someone's making some sense. Finally. The Trailblazers did not add any big pieces this year. I felt like they were in their war room. They were probably talking like, okay, guys, we were the 3rd seed in the West last year. We don't need to make any drastic changes. But I think they're kind of wrong in that approach. I think a lot of other teams got better and they stayed the same. And I don't see them coming back into this season going through being swept by the Pelicans and having a successful year the way they did last year. Of course, they're going to have something to prove, but it's not going to be the number 3 seed, in the West. So I myself have them coming in the 8th spot as well. So, maybe they weren't too batshit crazy on that one. They're 2 for 8. They have the Warriors number 1 and the Blazers number 8. That's pretty much it. Everything else in the middle, I think is totally redonkulous. Okay, so who are they missing from this playoff season? Who's not in the playoffs here? Well, they don't have the Spurs in there. The Spurs were in the playoffs without Kawhi Leonard. They were in the playoffs, let me repeat, without Kawhi Leonard. Yes, they were in the 7th spot. But now we have DeMar DeRozan, and it's almost the same team. I mean, are we going to be as good defensively in the playoffs? Probably not. Without our 2 best perimeter defenders in Kawhi and Danny Green. But are we going to win more regular season games this year than we did last year? Abso-freaking-positively. Yes, we are. DeMar DeRozan is going to give us that edge to win more regular season games. Hence, having a better seeding than the 7th spot that we did last year. Come on, man. Okay, now who else are they leaving off this list? Let me think. There's this guy. He might be considered, like the best player that ever lived. LeBron James. It's just LeBron James is in the Lakers. They don't have the Lakers in here. Do they really think that the Lakers are worse than the Pelicans? Or are they worse than the Nuggets? Oh my goodness. That's or Minnesota? Come on, man. The Lakers with the roster that he had in Cleveland can make the playoffs in the West just because that's LeBron freaking James, okay? Oh my god, dude. Whoever wrote this was sipping on grandpa's old cough medicine, I tell you. Okay, so I know I went over the whole Western Conference. I didn't just stick to the Spurs, but hey, if you want to hear my whole Spurs take on next season and why that I believe we are going to finish in the top 4 spot, in the 4th seed in the Western Conference next season, go to my previous episode and listen to that, and I go into it in depth why I think we are going to win more regular season games to reach that goal. Make sure to visit us on Instagram, A Bucking Spurs Podcast, Facebook, A Bucking Spurs Podcast. Twitter at Bucking Spurs. Make sure to like, comment, rate us on iTunes. Check me out on YouTube, A Bucking Spurs Podcast. That's right. We're going to be everywhere across all platforms of social media. So hit us up. I just want to give a big shout out to Eavesdrop Studios for riding with us in this off season. And just stay tuned. There's a lot more content coming your way from Eavesdrop Studios, whether it be from sports to film to health and wellness to whatever it is. There's a lot more content in development coming your way. So just stay tuned. Make sure that you bookmark that page, pin it to your desktop. And finally, I want to give a shout out to Sire Nova Music. All the music that is produced across all the podcasts that we do is created by Sire Nova. You can find his music on YouTube, coming soon to iTunes and Amazon and all the other platforms coming your way. So shout out, go Spurs, go.
I want some nasty.